in the letterbox. People are like, what are these guys doing?
God, just give it to him. Share it. Just shut them
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we're starting to get into the holiday season here. We did our last episode was on a holiday movie, Thanksgiving. So now our next
back to back.
We got another back-to-back holiday movie episode on Jingle on the Way. But before we get into that, Luke, have you been watching anything of note lately?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I'll start with. I'll just do. I don't know where to start. I'll just do December ones.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I've got a few December ones.
I'll just do December.
I know we've got one that we both watched that I'm sure we'll chat about.
So I watched the David Fincher movie, Mank, Citizen Kane, which I thought was cool, but I was slightly let down because I thought the media, like some media, like IndieWire, certain stuff like that, I thought they built up the movie like a lot, like as if like this was finally like going to be Fincher's like best movie or something, which I was like, whoa, like Fincher has a lot of best movies, so that must mean like this is really great. But I might be mixing it up with articles that said, this is his most like personal movie yet, or like this is the movie he's been wanting to make for years or whatever. But still, I had a lot of it. Like I was like, this movie's gonna be, like something. Is what I thought, and it is. But like, it just wasn't like the masterpiece I thought it was gonna be necessarily. Even though there's a lot of like really great things in Mank, it just wasn't. I don't know, just wasn't as quite as epic as I thought as I wanted it to be, and not as new or original as I thought it was going to be either.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I wasn't necessarily blown away, but I enjoyed it, but also did not meet my expectations. I guess I didn't see too much about it beforehand, but I saw the trailer, and the trailer like so amped for it. And I do love how the audio sounded and how it was shot and everything.
Yeah, it does look so cool, like throughout.
Yeah, but yeah, I could never really get too invested in it.
Yeah, it just felt very very typical in that whole writer trope of just like a miserable, self-deprecating writer. And I do like the arc in the movie though, on like him eventually wanting like recognition and realizing it's his like best work and stuff like that. I mean, I honestly I could watch the film again as well. And also the performances are really great.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I like the way it's written as well, like just the way they speak, and there is a lot of like, if you are just a film nerd, or like just someone who follows that era of Hollywood, it'll just have your interest right there, because there's like they do things like they meet with David Selznick and have a creative meeting and stuff like that. So, and there's just like a lot of slick dialogue and slick scenes, and it looks really slick.
I did really like that scene too.
Yeah,
and I think part of the reason where I guess at the end of it, I just wasn't super blown away was just because at the beginning I was very on board with everything, and like I said, I just couldn't. I just never really cared too much, but I still thought it was an interesting story. But didn't really exceed my expectations or anything like that. But
like I like a lot of Fincher movies more, for instance, but it's definitely a unique thing that he's adding to his filmography.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's high up on the 2020 list for me, though, still, because, like, there's not a lot.
But yeah, what else is there? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess another thing I watched, which is also 2020, I watched The Trial of the Chicago 7,
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Sorkin, um, which I felt similarly about this movie that I did Mank, like, except I didn't really have much expectations, but except I also liked this movie a little less than Mank, so just wasn't super into The Trial of the Chicago 7, and um, so that was a bit of a letdown. I'm starting off this like podcast episode on such a high note here,
Yeah.
but I love everything Aaron Sorkin does. Like I've never not been like really into something that's outside of the newsroom, maybe like something that's been written by Aaron Sorkin, and so I don't know, the Trial of the Chicago 7. I was just not that. I just was not that into really. Like,
Hmm.
I felt it was a little more average, a little more like has its moments for sure, but it's a little more average and a little more subpar on his caliber. So yeah, a little, just liked it, but just was kind of still kind of
Yeah.
over it.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I plan to. But the criticisms I've seen have been kind of about how everybody, always loves Aaron Sorkin's writing, but they have a lot more critiques for his directing. So I guess I don't know. I don't know how
I
you
could see
felt
that.
about
I
that,
could see
but
that with this movie. I guess I could
mhm.
see that.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of the films that he's directed, which I think are only a couple. But yeah,
It's like one. He directed Molly's Game,
Molly's Game. Yeah,
which is I loved. I thought it was really great.
nice.
Yeah. Um. All right. I've got a few weird ones
All right.
to slide through before I throw it to you. Um. So the first one is Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell
Yeah,
and Maggie Gyllenhaal and Dustin Hoffman, Emma Thompson, Queen Latifah. Fucking huge cast.
the stars of the early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to continue to be a downer here because I also was not that into Stranger Than Fiction. Like from Mank to the Trial of the Chicago 7, and now to Stranger Than Fiction, I would say I've gone exponentially down in the movies. Like,
Wow.
I like the way I like, Trial of the Chicago 7 less than Mank is now I like that, like this one, that much less now. Um, yeah, because I thought Stranger Than Fiction, I think my problem with Stranger Than Fiction, one, I think Will Ferrell is very miscast in this movie. Also, I think one of the problems with this whole idea of like Emma Thompson, like writing a novel and then the person's in the story, blah blah blah, and she's trying to finish her novel, and then she's like, I gotta kill the character, it's a tragedy, all that sort of shit. The problem is, for me personally, that Will Ferrell, who plays Harold Crick in this Crick in this movie, his life and whole story is just very uninteresting. Um, like they just go over so many times how he's like so much about routine, blah blah blah, and he really doesn't like he definitely he ends up going for Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is which I like that stuff.
Mhm.
But just the fact that it's about like it's just constantly about how he's just an uninteresting guy made this movie very uninteresting.
Yeah, I don't remember much from Stranger Than Fiction. This was a probably a blockbuster movie rental with the family back in the day. I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen it since then, but I do remember thinking it was like all right, but maybe it was sort of gimmicky, just sort of using the whole just I guess putting all the weight of the movie onto just the gimmick that Emma Thompson is writing this book and Will Ferrell's
Yeah,
character, and he's like,
yeah,
yeah, he's just like caught up in it. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it in long enough to really give a good enough take on it, but
yeah. I'd say one of
you're
the
saying
only
makes
things
sense.
I liked about it was Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think she's really good in it, and yeah, just like her character in it. But and there's also a Will Ferrell singing scene. He sings some famous punk rock song and plays guitar on it, and like it's not like um, Elf or Step Brothers, or I'm trying to think of another movie sings like the other guys where it's played for humor. It's like actually played for like, wow, he's so good and hot while he sings, like that sort of thing. So
Wow.
it's it's like kind of a good scene, but it's also kind of bizarre.
I don't remember that at all. Wow. Yeah. I feel like uh, has Will Ferrell done that many like serious roles really? And this is somewhat like comedic too, but I feel like we've
Yeah,
seen Adam Sandler do well in
more serious than Will Ferrell.
yeah.
Well, I watched this this one movie. So this movie is actually my least favorite movie of 2020. I watched Downhill.
Oh, Downhill.
It's the movie with Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus,
Hmm.
and I'd say that is borderline a dramatic role too.
Yeah, I could.
But it goes to your point that yeah, he's not good at it because, as I said, it's my least favorite movie of 2020,
Wow.
and it has two of my favorite actors in
Yeah,
it,
right.
so
Yeah.
it just shows how bad it was.
Two like incredible comedic
Two of
actors.
like the
Yeah.
funniest people, like
Yeah.
for sure, and the movie's not trying does not try to be funny really that much at all. So it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's a shitty movie.
I've only seen parts of it when it was on TV at some point, but uh yeah, it's a remake of like a Danish film, I think, which I have
Mm,
seen, and that one I actually thought
what's good?
was good, really well done, but yeah, I don't know. I
It's a
haven't
really
been
awkward
watching the
film.
remake.
It's
Yeah.
super awkward.
Yeah. I guess I feel like maybe Will Ferrell was miscast in that as well, or
Oh
maybe
yeah.
the movie just wasn't good in general.
Yeah, we can talk about that one more in depth when we go over like our 2020 list.
Yeah. Mm.
All right, so we're gonna finally get to something I liked
Ooh, here we
that I
go.
watched in December. Um, that isn't like a rewatch. Um, and you may be surprised
Oh.
actually, because it's Little Nicky, the Stephen Brill Adam Sandler movie.
We just went through those three movies, and then you bring up a positive side, and it's Little Nicky.
It happens to be Little Nicky, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, with Adam Sandler, Patricia Arquette, Harvey Keitel, Rodney Dangerfield, Reese Witherspoon, Dana Carvey, Kevin Nealon, Quentin Tarantino, Rob Schneider. Uh, yeah, I mean that there's more people, but
wow.
like Dan Marino, Carl Weathers.
Yeah, yeah. This
Yeah,
is Little
get in,
Nicky. Yeah.
get in the flask. Just get in the
Get in the
flask.
flask. Have you seen the SNL sketch with it's like the Sandler famous reunion? They did it when Adam
No,
Sandler
I
hosted.
really should though. I really should because
Should
I've
yeah.
seen them most of them now
Yeah,
at
Pete
this point.
Davidson actually does like a really good Little
Oh,
Nicky
I bet
impression.
he does. His voice is perfect for it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah.
What's funny is that Adam Sandler in this movie, you can barely hear him. Like you could definitely knock him for that.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Like you have
He's
all
just
these like people talking normally, and then Adam Sandler is just going like, "Rah, rah."
he's like doing a different version of the Christian Bale Batman voice, where it's
Kinda,
like so
yeah,
indistinct and quiet that it's hard to understand what
yeah,
he's saying. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess I basically just loved how strange this movie was, but like, yet how I liked how like everyone was in it. You know, I loved how Harvey Keitel was the devil.
I
Um,
forgot he was like his dad in that.
yeah, and I loved how committed everyone what was kind of to this stupid movie. Yeah, that's just really
Yeah.
it. You know, and I laughed a lot, and um, I think I kind of rate Sandler films a little differently than others, like
Same. Yeah.
especially since he's made so many bad ones. So since I like Adam Sandler a lot, like if I find I like what the man's about. Okay. Like so if I find something like a movie that I just like, you know, I like a little bit, you know, like this,
Hmm.
I'll be like I'll act, you know, like I'll really rate it positively,
Hmm.
basically.
Kind of
Yeah.
like Hubie Halloween, where
Exactly, exactly.
yeah,
Hubie Halloween is a ridiculous movie,
yeah,
but since I enjoyed it, so I mean I like Hubie actually. I mean I like Hubie Halloween a lot better than Little Nicky, I'll say. But um, yeah, same thing.
yeah. If you just you still like enjoy it in some sense. And I will say, out of all of like the just completely bonkers Adam Sandler movies, like this or You Don't Mess with the Zohan, uh, or
Yeah,
Ridiculous Six, like Little Nicky is way better than those.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I did not. I'm not a fan of Don't Mess with the So.
Me neither. Yeah, no.
What's weird is I was listening to something and I forget who said it, but someone said like that it was like some director, it might have been like the Safdie brothers, um, saying that Don't Mess with the Zohan for them was like a classic or something like that. And I just like couldn't agree with that because when
The
I watched Don't Mess with
Safdies.
this, I forget who said that,
Wow.
but
Mm.
it was somebody. It must have been the Safdies because I don't watch like director interviews with like um, people that Sandler works with outside of like the Safdie brothers and Paul
Yeah.
Thomas Anderson. So yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
but yeah, Little Nicky, I recommend
Little
it.
Nicky.
He eats a lot of Popeyes in this movie, which I
Oh,
love Popeyes.
actually, just hearing you talk about it's making me want to rewatch it. I haven't seen
Revisit
it in a
it.
while. Yeah, it's been a while. So, but
Yeah,
this is a movie
I
I saw when I was way too young when I first saw this
it's
movie.
pretty hilarious. Like just watching Harvey Keitel as the devil and like the way he's so committed to this dumb comedy. Like Harvey Keitel is one of our, you know, our greatest actors. So
Yeah,
like just to see him in that is great.
and there isn't like his I don't know, like his assistant or whatever you want to call him. He has like boobs for a head or something. There's something
Like
so ridiculous.
there's this one point where he gives the guy boobs for a head.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Harvey Keitel. And then when Sandler enters like the world, like Earth,
Hmm.
like it's like a dog that like escorts him around,
Yeah, like a bulldog.
like a
Yeah,
talking bulldog, and you're just
yeah,
like, what is going on?
yeah.
And Adam Sandler's like, watch this, Popeyes. Like I just loved it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is making me want to rewatch it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would actually rank it high on my like Sandler movies list when I make one. I know you have one. I gotta make one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see your Sandler list and see where that
All right.
lands.
Yeah. I'll have to look at yours as well to see where it is. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I don't even remember. Yeah.
All right, so I've my last one. Um, so this movie I liked, but it's also a very weird movie. Um, I watched Wild Things, 1998 movie. Kevin Bacon, Matt Dillon, Nev Campbell, uh, Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Wow.
Bill Murray plays Matt Dillon's attorney at one point in this movie, and it's pretty great. One of the things I liked about it a lot.
Nice. I have not seen Wild Things yet, but I've seen the poster a million times where they're like in a pool.
Yeah, and they're like
Submerged in a
kind of
pool.
the women are kind of they're posing as like alligators sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because this movie, it actually takes place in Florida, so that's kind of why they're doing that. Like the women, the women are a metaphor for crocodiles with Matt Dillon, I guess, or something. This is one of the most ridiculous films. Like it really is, you know.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I love that like you can just still find things that surprise you this much. Like Wild Things is like a really horny movie. It's like one of the horniest movies ever. Like the movie starts out at like Matt Dillon's just like he's a professor, so he's just like walking through the school and like basically every girl in this movie just wants to fuck Matt Dillon. Like so like they just look at him like they can't resist him so much. And
I mean, can you blame him?
To be fair, Matt Dillon's a good-looking man.
Yeah, he's hot as
but
fuck.
Still, this is even for Matt Dillon, I think this is a very elevated level of horniness for this movie. Like everyone in this movie is so horny. And that like so there's this one scene where they cut from like Matt Dillon being ogled by like two of his students. And like one of the first scenes in the movie, Matt Dillon drives the students home, and the girls are like leaning over him and all this shit. It's just like, what the fuck? And then you see him kind of driving one of those I don't know what they're called, like hover boats or whatever they use on the Everglades.
Oh yeah. They
you know
have like
the
big fan on the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like they like cut from that to just him cruising over the Everglades, and he's like got sandals on, and he's like looking all like cool, and it's almost it's really weird. It's like they're alluding to him in some like weird sexual way. That the Everglades has something to do with the pool of women that are after him and how many women he's been with or something like that. Because he's also known in this movie through the town. Like multiple characters say it, like that guy's been with the whole town, hasn't he? You know, and then it'll show the alligators, so it's like they're alluding to the alligators, or I don't know, something to do with this. I guess.
That's above my head. I don't really. Yeah, I'll have to see to find out.
Anyways, I haven't even gotten to the main point that this is a mystery movie.
Oh, I thought it was a porno the way you're describing it. Yeah,
it is, but it's also a mystery movie. So like the movie starts out and Kevin Bacon's talking about how he's like a detective, and Kevin Bacon's like, the biggest crimes are sex crimes. And and all the college students are like, oh yeah, sex.
Yeah, we like sex crimes.
Exactly. And then eventually Matt Dillon kind of gets caught up in this in these allegations of rape, basically, by two of his students who are played by Neve Campbell and Denise Richards, who are both really good in this movie. So I don't know if I would even I would probably have hated this movie if it weren't for the cast being so good and committed to it. To how ridiculous this is. Like Matt Dillon kind of works really well for how ridiculous this movie is. So there's a lot of just laughs with that, but really the ladies really shine, like Denise Richards and Neve Campbell, who are two of like, you know, the biggest actresses of the 90s for sure. So that's part of the reason why I like this movie. And I think it's really like it's got like a really campy, fun quality to it, and and like even like the mystery gets like more absurd and absurd, and then it's just got a lot of shit to like shake your head at and laugh at, but but not totally dismiss. Like I was kind of like along for the goofiness and the probably that I don't know. I feel like it's maybe just because it's the way it's aged since the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would not. Yeah, I would say it's definitely a flawed and a movie that's aged poorly, but I would say it's a good movie.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. It's on my list on some whatever streaming service it's on.
It's on Amazon Prime. At least
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
where I watched it. Yeah.
yeah. It's nice off to check that out.
All right. Yeah, that's the end of my December watches.
All right, nice. Yeah, we started off rough, but we had a strong finish there with Little Nicky and Wild Thing.
Wild Things. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, I've just got a few to mention, and then a show that I think is worth mentioning too. But
Okay.
yeah, actually, I'll start with the show. I'll get that out of the way. I think you would like to. Maybe you've even watched it already, but it's How To with John Wilson on HBO Max.
Nope. Have
You haven't
not
seen it.
seen it or heard of it.
So, How To with John Wilson is it's a new show. There's only 6 episodes. They've all come out by now, but it's executive produced by Nathan Fielder of Nathan for You,
Oh, okay.
of which I am a massive fan
Now I
of.
know. Now I know why I should care about this.
Yes, have I got your attention now? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
uh,
you have my full attention.
so it's if you like Nathan for You, it is very similar humor wise. It's very awkward and uncomfortable, but also it shows human nature in a really fascinating way too. So basically, every episode there's a different topic, and
Yeah.
it's just this guy John Wilson who he films things around New York City, from his point of view. It's all POV shots of him, and then with his narration over it. And like the first episode is a great introduction to it. It's on small talk, and he just like goes into, how humans deal with small talk every day, and then in every single episode, it sort of um, transcends into something completely different, where you don't even know how you necessarily got there, which gives it a lot of rewatchability. I'm on my second watch through now, but it is so incredibly funny, and the real people that he sort of stumbles upon and interacts with that become characters on the show are so fascinating because they're so odd.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, as probably with Nathan for You, the producers know how
yep,
to pick the right
yeah,
people.
yeah,
What's
much
funny,
like Nathan for You.
I
Yeah,
actually met a guy who like worked on that show on like a set
really.
I worked on, like the only set I've like like one of the two sets I've worked on outside of corporate video and since like COVID hit. But I
Mhm.
met like a guy, the producer on that set, like worked on like Nathan for You and like Eric Andre. So when he told me he worked on Nathan for You, I was like, whoa. And
Oh yeah.
I wish I could ask you so many questions on like what you did, how you guys did it, and blah blah blah. But
Hmm.
I know you can't answer blah blah blah. But yeah, he basically did confirm what I already believed, and it's that how like uh I don't know, just basically the brilliance of the producers and how they basically plan out all the encounters and plus the targets like you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah, John Wilson, just like Nathan Fielder, they're so good at sort of getting the most ridiculous things out of super weird people. They're just
Yeah,
it's almost like they manipulate them into getting whatever weird quirks that these people have. Like in the first episode, it's
yeah,
about small talk, and he ends up He's just interviewing people outside of WrestleMania or something, and he meets this guy who he looks like this like bonehead wrestling fan. And it turns out in his spare time, not his job, in his spare time, he catches sex predators by posing as like a 15-year-old girl. And he just like catches them and turns them into the police on his own time. It's like out of nowhere, this guy, comes into this show, and then he ends up tying in the small talk piece to it because this guy, he's small talking these, potential predators into, doing like a to catch a predator type confrontation. Yeah, and
Wow.
it's hilarious and just crazy, but also just like Nathan for you, I'm
It's like
so
mind blowing.
fascinated. Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
just fascinated by the people they get on it and just the I don't know, the crazy things they do. But yeah, if you like Nathan for you, it's going to be right up your alley.
One of
So
my favorite bids in Nathan for You is the security guard who loves big breasts.
Simon Sees, yeah.
Yeah, and I, I even forget. I completely forget even what happens, but he says like it has to be substantial.
Yes, I
And
actually
then he
rewatched that episode recently. Yeah.
yeah, and he goes up to the women. He's like, just wanted to let you know that I don't even know what does he say. Like he has a problem that he likes breasts a lot or something like that.
Yeah, he has to go up to his. So they like are
He,
pitching this reality show, him and Nathan,
yeah,
and he has to go up to the manager of this jewelry store, who he's
yeah,
been hired
you
as a security guard, and he has to say,
yeah,
just so you know, I like he as if he has like a medical condition, and he's just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very attracted to women with large breasts, and I sometimes can get distracted while looking at them. So
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to let you know that I'm going to do my best to not get distracted if a woman were to come in with large breasts.
Yeah, and there's like a woman with big breasts is like just in there. Then she leaves. Then he goes up to his supervisor and goes like, "I just wanted to let you know that I was a little distracted
Yeah,
there."
I want to apologize. Yeah, and the guy's like, we don't need to have this conversation.
Yeah,
It's
it's
please
oh
don't
my god,
talk to me. Yeah,
yeah, it's one of the funniest things.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's like, I get up first, I get up in the morning, I put on my belt, and then I microwave the
I'm sorry.
sandwich,
Or
and
a
then I eat
hot pocket. Yeah, yeah.
and then I eat the hot pocket sandwich.
I like to take one bite and then blow into it to cool it down
Yeah,
because it comes out pretty hot.
and
Yeah.
they do it. They show him doing it in like slow motion.
Oh, yeah, it's so funny. They just go through his whole
Yeah,
daily routine.
man, yeah, I could rewatch that show too, but
Mhm.
I will definitely. How to is now for sure top of my watch list.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know you'd like it. Yeah. It's almost like therapeutic for me too.
Yeah.
There's like some heart to it too. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's my TV pick, what I've been watching. And then yeah, we talked about Mank, which I
Yeah, we
watched
already
the
talked
other
about Mank.
day.
Yeah.
Then yeah, just two more movies that I watched in the past week or so. First one was In the Mood for Love, the
Oh
Wong
yeah.
Kar-wai movie. First
It's good
viewing.
timing because Criterion just released a Wong Kar-wai box today.
Yeah, today I saw that on Instagram. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
So
Criterion seems to be going hard, or maybe I'm just like very in tune with Criterion or something.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's probably both. Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. This is my first Wong Kar-wai film that I've seen.
Yeah.
But I get not that there's like a ton of hype around him, but he's very well acclaimed and everything. And yeah, what a beautiful and also heartbreaking movie it
Yeah.
was. I feel like, unlike you, I've watched a lot of movies recently uh, that I either have already loved or that I love on like my first viewing.
Yeah.
Besides the one that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but yeah, and this one I really loved, and I could see myself watching again. Um, Yeah, I would recommend it. It's on HBO Max, and HBO Max. I don't know if you saw what Christopher Nolan said, but after Warner
It's the
Media,
worst streaming service.
it's like it's. I think it's the best. Yeah,
Everyone at home loves it though. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it's. I think it's the best. But I think Nolan's just pissed that they are taking movies out of theaters next year. But um, I'm sure he'll get over it somehow. Maybe he'll switch from Warner Brothers. But yeah, it's on HBO Max. If you're into film in any way, you got to check it out.
It's a very memorable score in the Mood for
Yeah.
Love.
hmm Yeah, and now I'm not sure if there's more Wong Kar-wai. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, but more of his films on HBO Max or not. But I'm definitely going to be checking out more of those.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch more. I've seen just a few,
hmm
but in the Mood for Love I've now seen twice. So
Nice.
yeah, because it's so great.
And then the last one I have is another one that I saw way too late for the first time. That's Enter the Dragon. Uh,
Oh, is that with Chuck Norris?
no, that's Way of the
That's just
Dragon is the
that's
one.
where it's his family.
So
Enter
he's
the
like
Dragon.
he goes like undercover for like the
Oh
CIA
yeah, yeah,
to the guy
yeah,
to this guy's private island. Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it was the one that came out like right when he died too.
yeah. Mm,
But yeah, I really enjoyed Enter the Dragon. It's I didn't know I guess too much what to expect, but it is so much like a Bond movie. That I was
yeah,
yeah, I know I was really intrigued by that aspect of it where it's
yeah.
basically a Bond movie, but Bruce Lee as Bond. And yeah, I really liked it. I sadly haven't gotten too much into Bruce Lee, but now I'm gonna try to yeah to give the man some respect.
The only Bruce Lee movie I had seen was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was great in
he
that, by the way,
He
too. Yeah,
sucked in it.
he got his ass kicked by Brad Pitt. Yeah, uh, yeah. Well, apparently there's some controversy with that scene, but yeah,
Yeah,
Bruce Lee
right.
kicks ass in Enter the Dragon. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So
Yeah, his movies are very epic.
yeah. And I'm just gonna bring up this one quick. But recently, in the past month, I also watched Police Story for the first time. Jackie Chan
Oh yeah,
Police Story, and that I was like, wow, okay, I gotta watch some more
that's
martial arts
fun.
movies. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I loved Police Story. So
Have you seen Drunken Master yet?
I haven't I haven't seen all of Drunken Master, but that's one that I've
I've
seen
seen
like
some
parts
of
of on
it.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah, Drunken Master is such a great time, just like Police Story. I think like Police Story has like better like sets, and like
hmm
stunts. The stunt
hmm
work in Police Story is better because is the first one the one where he goes down the like the whole mall
Yes,
like
I
thing,
love the
and
mall.
yeah, that
Yeah.
insane thing. It's just, yeah, that's one of the craziest things.
Yeah.
Um yeah, like it makes like Tom Cruise even look, like he doesn't do anything in his movies.
Yeah.
But Legend of Drunken Master's like choreography and just humor wise is just pretty great.
hmm Yeah, that's what I loved about Police Story too. Is obviously the choreography and the stunts and set pieces and yeah, the mall scene, but also yeah, it's pretty funny too.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, so yeah, Legend of Dragon Math. That's one I've been wanting to see all the way through because yeah, I've just seen bits and pieces here and there, but yeah, that I think that sort of gave me the bug recently to watch some
yeah.
more
So you're on a
martial
little
arts type
kung fu.
kung fu. Yeah,
Yeah,
kung fu kick. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's what we've been watching. But
Hold up. Since you brought up shows, I'm gonna bring
oh,
up a couple shows.
we
Since
got
I
some
guess we
some more
do. Since I
shows.
guess we do shows now on this show.
So
I
I
don't know. We
broke the
probably
rules a bit.
we probably have. I don't know.
We
I don't
talked about Twin
remember.
Peaks a bit, but that's all I can think of. Yeah,
Just Twin Peaks.
maybe Twin Peaks is the only one. I don't know.
So in November, I watched a couple of shows. The first one is Horace and Pete, uh,
Oh.
the the Louis C.K. show,
Hmm.
uh, with uh, with Louis C.K., Steve Buscemi, Edie Falco, Jessica Lange, Alan Alda, Stephen Wright, um, and it was one where. So I know we don't have a lot of listeners, but I will. That's enough. We have few enough. Even if we had a lot, I would say
We're small but mighty. Yeah.
yeah. Even if we had a lot, I'd still be comfortable with saying that I very much I miss Louis C.K. as like as a comic,
Hmm.
for sure. And I think he's just done very, in the before when his career was going on, he did really great work, and I just wish he was still able to do more. Um, I believe what he did was wrong, blah blah blah. But I still wish he was making things,
Hmm.
basically. Um, so yeah, I'm a Louis C.K. fan essentially, and um, Horace and Pete was something I've wanted to see for a while, and I heard a ton about it. Um, it's one of those he like released it like out of nowhere. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember
Um,
hearing about it when it first came out. Yeah.
yeah, he like I'm pretty sure it like only went to his website or something like that, and he didn't do it with anyone big, and he just no one knew about it, and then one day it just came out.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So because I think he wanted it to be, I don't know, just very in secret.
Yeah. He
Um,
did something similar with his like comedy special at the Comedy Store that he released
yeah,
around the
I
same
think
time.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was all like pretty secret and just on his website. Yeah.
and so also this show didn't just come out uniquely; it just is very unique in how it's written, how it's made. Like it's shot very much like live television and like a sitcom. Um, but
Hmm.
it's really not a sitcom at all. But it's shot exactly like a sitcom. So on that end, it's like if you're looking for like cinematic qualities, it does not have that. It is shot like TV, and very much feels like a set soundstage sort of thing. And you're basically at the bar of Horace and Pete's always. Um, and I feel like he did that. It was just I don't know. It was obviously like a choice.
Hmm.
Uh, and I will say this is a very depressing show. It's very sad, and I think the way it's shot it helps contribute to that because I think he wanted it to be like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so basically, like in this show, Horace and Pete, Horace played by Louis C.K., Pete played by Steve Buscemi, run this bar, and they've got a ton of family baggage, along with Edie Falco, who plays their sister Sylvia, and they just all have a lot of baggage that I don't know. I'm not going to go into the baggage, but they have a lot of baggage that has happened at that bar, and so the story is very much just like learning about them as the show goes on. You just learn more and more about them and things that have happened, and there's just a lot of dialogue scenes, and there's just a lot of, and it's very well written. It's very well written dialogue. It's not only like there's not only a lot of very funny dialogue, but it's just very smart, and there's a lot of layers to it. And and it's a tragedy, but it's I don't know, it's a very beautiful show, and there's just a lot of like care put into it for like people who are like depressed,
Hmm.
people who have like very tough lives, um, and yeah, it just has a lot to say about those types of things, and on top of that, it's also pretty hilarious a lot of the time too, but just in a different way than you would expect, say, a Louis C.K. stand-up thing to be. I like the writing is especially just smart and really is about just how people talk who've been around for a long time, like how all these actors have, like in their acting in their 50s, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just very smart show, just very well done, and I highly recommend it, even though it is a bit of a bummer.
Nice. Where did you watch this?
Hulu.
Hulu. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen most of his show Louie, where I felt it was also a little more serious and depressing at
Yeah.
times, but also
Yeah.
funny. But no, I totally forgot about the show Horace and Pete. I don't think I've heard about it in
Yeah.
years. Yeah, so I might have to check that out. Nice. How many seasons did it even go?
It's one.
Just
Yeah,
one
it's one,
season? Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
it ends. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I'll have to check that out. Great cast too.
Yeah. It's really unique.
Nice.
All right, so yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna talk about the other show. We should get
Yeah.
into the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's. I guess we'll get into the movie now. We'll take a short break here.
Yeah.
Get into Jingle All the Way.
Get to it.
Jingle All the Way.
It's such a funny name for a movie. Jingle All the Way.
Does it even really make sense to the story at all?
No,
Not at all.
never.
Yeah.
Like Elf makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Polar Express makes perfect sense. The Santa
Claus. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even it's a clause. Like
Yes.
not like Santa Claus, Santa Claus,
Santa
the
Claus.
clause.
Yeah. But my whole child life, I thought it was just called the Santa Claus. Yeah, like his name, the Santa Claus. And it wasn't until I was older that I realized it's the Claus, and that's actually a clever title. But yeah, Jingle All the Way. They just took a holiday saying or lyric from a song and turned it into a movie.
A song title. Well, not even a song title. That song's called what's that song called? Jingle Bells?
Is it Jingle Bells? Yeah, I think it's in Jingle Bells. I couldn't remember what song. Yeah. Yeah, Jingle Bells. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think it really goes to it really is good at just representing the fact that this this movie is has a lot of just Christmas garbage in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so recently on our episodes we've talked about the first time that we saw the movie that we're talking about. So I'm curious to see when the first time that you saw Jingle All the Way was, because I can vividly remember mine back in the day.
I can too. I was probably 11 or something like that. Who knows? Kid. And I was in Michigan at my aunt's house where we did all of our holidays for years, and it was in her basement with two of my uncles who two uncles of mine who basically just sat and hung out in that basement most of their lives watching movies. And so I actually saw a lot of movies down there. I saw I don't even know if I would have grown up with Jim Carrey if I hadn't hung out came to that basement every few months and just watched The Mask again, over and over again. And so it was a lot of Jim Carrey movies, but another movie we watched was Jingle All the Way one time, and it instantly just became a favorite for my cousins and me. It was I was so young, so I knew that the movie sucked. Still, you know what I mean? I still knew that it was a bad movie. But I liked it. I thought it was hilarious. I liked the ridiculousness of it even then. And I would say I even like it probably more now. I'd say I appreciate how, all the, how crazy this movie is now, even more so.
Yeah, it is quite ridiculous. But I guess I'm a little different because when I first watched it, I didn't realize how bad it was. I I remember I was probably um, 5 or 6, and I was very close with my neighbor at the time, and I remember watching it in their living room and thinking it was like the greatest thing ever. It was my first Arnold Schwarzenegger movie as a 5-year-old, and obviously thought he was great. Thought Sinbad was great. Uh, Huge Sinbad fan from that day, and then yeah, and then it wasn't until, and then I watched it a few other times when I was little, but it never, I guess it never was really like a
Never
regular.
stayed as good.
Yeah, it wasn't like a regular Christmas rotation movie for me. And then yeah, as I got older, I realized how ridiculous it is, but I still have a lot of fun with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not one that it's like hard to watch. It is so just ridiculous and stupid, but still a lot of fun too.
Yeah. I think when I was 10 and I saw it, I had already seen like a bunch of Schwarzenegger stuff, like T2, Predator, um, like Last Action Hero, probably Kindergarten Cop, maybe
Hmm.
others too. To Terminator 1, Terminator 3. And so by the time I saw Jingle All the Way, like I knew enough to know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was like bad in this movie. I think
Yeah.
like I think I don't think I even probably thought the rest of the movie was bad. I just think that I just because I was like, wow, like Arnold opens up the movie going like, "You're my number one customer." Like even as a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, he's awful in this movie." Or like he's going up, "Hey little girl, a big red ball." Like doing just trying so
So
hard to
weird.
be
Yeah.
funny and strange in this movie. Like yeah. So
I'm not the pedophile. I just want the turbo
yeah, yeah,
man. Oh
yeah. I
man.
just want the Turbo Man. Like, and I think as a kid, I was like, wow, that's ridiculous. So I've kind of grown. I'd say I've always felt the same way about this movie, except like now I've even gotten like deeper into it, because I've watched it the past two Christmases now. Um, and last Christmas especially was one of the first times I watched it in a while, maybe, probably a few years, and it really hit me how bonkers this movie is
Yeah.
last year. Like, especially like the final parade scene. Like
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. Really. I still
Yeah.
can't believe it. It's one where I'm just so happy that it exists. Um, and I'm also always like I'm always just shaking my head at like what it is, like
Yeah.
at the same time I'm like, what
Yeah.
was everyone doing?
Yeah, right. And I think now I will probably try to watch it once a year around Christmas
Yeah, it's
because
it's become a classic at this point.
yeah. Yeah, because I hadn't seen it in probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years at this point. So I think that was good enough time where yeah, I forgot a little bit about it and how wild it can be. But yeah, it's it's still enjoyable. It's enjoyable to just revel in how weird it is and how bad Arnold is. And
Yeah.
well, I guess we can get into like the cast a little bit too. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, who apparently I didn't realize this, but in the '90s he was more of like a family friendly comedian. I didn't know that, but Phil Hartman, Rita Wilson, and Anakin Skywalker,
And Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd.
And I didn't really know. I don't think it was till I was an adult, to where I knew that I put that two together. I was like, oh, that kid's Anakin,
Anakin.
Phantom
Mhm.
Menace Anakin. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess this was the role that convinced George Lucas that this was.
No, yeah, exactly, which is
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. There's even a scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger is about to say, "I am your father," but he's cut off. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
and this.
too
Oh,
perfect.
really? In Jingle All the Way, I forgot.
Yeah, it's when he's trying to reveal to him that he's Turbo
Oh,
Man
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
parade.
yeah, yeah.
He keeps getting
He's
cut
like,
off.
you see, I'm, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Sinbad comes out or something like that.
They literally his wife and his child cannot tell that it is him.
Yeah,
Who else in Minneapolis sounds like this guy and has
yeah.
like his same chin and mouth? Yeah,
You can just
it's
see his, you can pretty much see his face.
yeah, exactly. It's just through a little visor. But yeah,
So for Phil Hart on, well, let me cover Phil Hartman real quick.
yeah,
So
please
since
do.
I was a kid, I have been very just fascinated by Phil Hartman's character in this movie. Because when I was a kid, I just like couldn't believe like I'd never seen a character in a movie before so blatantly like, to put it to my like Catholic schoolboy terms, like commit adultery. So like as a kid, I just like couldn't believe it. I was like, he's trying to commit adultery, like, and I thought it was hilarious, like as
Oh,
a kid.
I think Phil Hartman is super
Oh,
funny.
it's one of the best
Yeah,
parts of the movie for sure.
definitely.
Just like
And
his existence,
yeah,
and how like just how firm he is about his whole like plans in this movie.
and he's apparently just like yeah, just like sleeping through town. Like he's all the neighborhood moms wanna get
Yeah,
with this
yeah,
goofy ass guy.
yeah. They make him cookies and stuff.
I yeah, I
Um,
I legitimately laughed out loud at the line when his kid is like, "Yeah, hopefully your parents get divorced too. Divorce did wonders
it
for
did
my
wonders
dad."
for my dad.
I thought that was actually a really funny line. Yeah, also
One of
incredibly sad.
it,
Also, yeah,
oh yeah, and I think it's partly because Phil Hartman's voice is so great.
yeah.
It's so Simpson-y
Mm-hmm.
that it just makes him so funny in this movie.
Troy
Um,
McClure, yeah.
it really works for him just being like a shitty guy,
Yeah.
Um, like when I was a kid and I was watching this with my cousins and like my brother, we just couldn't stop laughing at the scene where he's offering Rita Wilson non-alcoholic eggnog. For some reason, we've always thought that was like the funniest thing, and we would like repeat it for years. Like
Mm-hmm.
we'll like if we see each other, we'll still like talk about
Still
that.
quote it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll still be like the non-alcoholic eggnog scene. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I do think his character alone is enough to keep me watching
There's a whole
this
movie. Yeah,
movie.
it's a whole movie within a movie. Is
Yeah,
that?
because he is just he is like a cartoon character in this movie.
Yeah.
He's basically playing one of his Simpsons characters.
What? So Rita Wilson. So Rita Wilson for me is in this movie probably. I realized that this time around, she's probably the only real like actor in this movie. Like on this movie's standards, at least.
Definitely,
Like she's
yeah,
definitely in this movie the only real actor in her family in the
yeah,
movie. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like, but and like her performance in comparison to say, like Arnold and Jake Lloyd is like just totally like you could see like, oh, she's like an actual actress.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's like an
Like
actual
she
person too. Yeah,
Yeah, she's like a person. She's not just in this buffoonery. But like then again, so then her acting is just kind of going off of everything else going on. So then
hmm
it just makes her look even like not necessarily her performance looks bad, but her character just looks
Oh,
super dumb throughout this
terrible.
movie. The movie really does not I don't like, man. I mean,
It's a
I don't know
terrible role
why.
for her.
Why
Yeah.
would you read this script and think that's a good role if you're any actress in Hollywood at the time?
No. Yeah,
It's
she's so
such an awful
critical
role.
of I mean, I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great dad in this, but she also like it just is so weird because do you not talk to your husband? Like you're going into bed together every night and you have like, that conversation in the beginning, but she doesn't know anything about her husband or her child, and he's like, "Oh, I've got the perfect gift for our son," and it's like Turbo Man. He's like, "Oh, good luck getting that." And it's like, okay, so she's basically at home with the son all the time, but she doesn't know
Yeah.
he wants this Turbo Man toy, and she
Well,
doesn't go out and
she has to because he's always talking. That's
yeah,
all. The
he
only thing
recites
his
the
character
ad.
is.
Yeah.
All that Jamie is yeah, is into Turbo Man.
So it's so weird. It's almost as if they're already like in the beginning, I had forgotten that they were still married. I thought they had been like divorced or something, and the whole point was
Oh,
Arnold was like
yeah,
trying to make sure his son, still cares about him. He still wants to be a good father for his son, but
yeah,
it's like, oh, they're still married. Yeah, it's
yeah. It's just like he's known for being like liar for Jim Carrey, like he's trying to like
yeah,
stay in their lives, so there's like the stakes are more clearly defined. But
yeah,
in this movie, it's more just like he's around, but he's just always a shitty dad.
yeah.
And it's not totally understandable how defined it is. I guess he's just too into work. I think it's
Hmm.
really just that it's that simple, which is it kind of makes sense. And this movie makes a lot of assumptions like that, and I think that a lot of those things lead to. I feel like the movie, in a way, has like clear ideas, but they feel almost more so accidental. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like not like it's in control of those ideas. Like the idea of it being, a typical 9 to 5 father, it more so feels like it's not like it's not like that they're playing with the cliche of the 9 to 5 and that dads don't care. It's more so that they just didn't think of anything else.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like there's a lot of things in this movie that could point to that we could get into more later about just like consumerism on Christmas and a
hmm
lot of and a lot of Sinbad's rants on like the conspiracies of them having to get the presents for the kids and all that stuff, which are like pretty clear ideas and that could actually work in like a Christmas satire movie of some sort. But
yeah.
like this movie's not like it's definitely not like what this movie's 100% trying to be. It feels more like a failed attempt at something else, and now it is coming across this way.
Yeah, I think it's really, um, yeah, just sort of unfocused in a way. Well, first of all, I think it's so funny when Arnold's trying to get the toy, and we first meet Sinbad's character, and then yeah, he immediately just
Yeah.
a tight 5 minutes on
Yeah,
like corrupt toy
yeah,
companies and yeah,
yeah, yeah.
conspiracies about
He
this.
doesn't he like grab a woman
Yeah,
and
he like chokes someone.
he's like, I will do this to you or something. It's pretty
Yeah, and like
fucking
nobody
hilarious.
bats an eye that this man is just like choking this woman out of nowhere. But and yeah, so I was like looking up a little bit more about like the production of it, and apparently this was influenced by the filmmakers' thoughts on like consumerism and yeah, like
Yeah,
toys like Power Rangers or Tickle Me Elmo, where people were
yeah,
going nuts about them during the holiday season. But then he also went on to say something about how he thinks that the movie at its core is really about building a better family, and it's all about family. And I just didn't get those vibes at
yeah.
all. And I feel like maybe it actually
He's
could have
never with
worked.
his family at all,
No, like the family's still
Never.
shitty, yeah. And then there's no like there's really no heart at this movie, and I almost feel like if they
Yeah.
just went into more of like a less family friendly film and did it more about consumerism and I don't and
And the
corporation.
commercialism and the ugliness of the commercialism of Christmas
Yeah, I feel like
had
it might have actually been a decent movie if they
yeah.
went all
Uh,
out in
but
that direction.
but also none of these people like Arnold would not have been in the movie probably then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's I don't
So
know.
it almost works out like that. It is accidental because then you get like Arnold's very memorably bad performance.
Yeah, yeah. It's still, yeah. Regardless, it's still a very watchable and enjoyable movie for how dumb it is. But yeah, it's almost like it didn't know whether to be anti-consumerism all the way or be
Yeah.
a family.
Yeah, there's like the scene where they throw the balls up into the air and then everyone's grabbing and they play the Christmas music. That like that is a very clear like focused scene where they're just like this is like the mayhem of Christmas and look how fucked up it is and we're poking fun at this sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Then that's more of like yeah commentary on yeah on America and
Al-
consumerism during the holiday.
Also, Chris Parnell's scene
Yeah,
is just so great. It's one of the
yeah.
best things. Yeah, you want a turbo man? This guy wants a turbo man. He's just losing his mind.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, it's that's where I think the movie does well where it has these characters like Chris Parnell or Phil Hartman where they are just completely ridiculous cartoony characters but still funny in that sense.
Mm.
Um yeah. And I don't know. E- Even without without my criticism of it not being like one way or another, it's still I think it's not just completely over the top and stupid
Yeah, that makes
that I
it
get mad
unwatchable.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because
Yeah.
people are trying to go after scenes. They're trying
Mhm.
to go for these scenes. They're real scenes.
Mhm.
Um, like one of the first scenes in the movie, which is a place where I'd like to start, is like well, I kind of want to start when Arnold gets home and then he goes to Jake Lloyd's room and he's like, "Hey, buddy," and like I just like that we get to see these two act together because I get such a kick out of the scene,
Yeah. Wow.
pretty
It's
much because they're giving two like very uniquely bad performances each in their specific age group, and so the fact that they're acting together in this movie is just it's a perfect duo for how ridiculous everything is.
oh yeah. Yeah, it is truly impossible to see that this is a father and son having a conversation with each other.
Yeah, and he takes his belt and he's like, "This is really cool," and he's like, "What does he say?" He's like, "Purple is important to me, Dad. It's two after yellow and three before black, or something like that." And we get to see Jake Lloyd's like basically his audition there, right, for Phantom Menace, because
Oh yeah.
we're like it's the exact same acting as like like Qui-Gon, sir, I don't want to be a problem. Like that sort of his whole thing.
I like the random like little jokes that Arnold throws out there too to try and like I don't know get on his son's side and he's like, "Oh, are those things registered?" Like he's talking about like his fists too or something.
Are those? Oh yeah, it's like are those registered
Are those registered
killers?
weapons yet?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it's like, Jamie, what do you want for Christmas? I'll give you anything. And he's like, I want the Turbo Man.
Yeah. Batteries sold separately. Like he just
Yeah,
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 just
he gives
recites
like
the ad.
he recites the whole ad. This
Hmm.
kid is like obsessed with, clearly he is filled with just, commercials of toys and just all of it. And he just watches, he's not a healthy kid, clearly.
No. Oh yeah.
And I would say there's a lot more than the fact that Arnold doesn't show up for some things sometimes. Then
Hmm.
I think this kid's a little too much in front of the television.
He's got a rough family life, really. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's clearly just this kid's a yeah clearly a huge consumer of all the of just of his brand of this
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And then that's where we have the scene where Rita Wilson apparently knows all about Turbo Man, but hasn't
Yeah, but
done
she
anything.
hasn't pre-ordered the doll. It's up
Yeah.
to him to get the doll. Yeah,
Yeah. He's like, I found the perfect gift for him. Turbo Man. And she's
yeah,
like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, good luck getting it. It's all on you. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
But
not gonna
doesn't
help
she
out in
say
any
like?
way.
Doesn't she say like? Didn't you get it?
Yeah.
Like,
Didn't you
didn't you
get it?
get it? And he's like, yeah, that doll, of course.
Yeah.
And then they go to bed. And I remember when I was a kid, like just the whole idea of him lying, like I was like, oh my god, like
He's in it
how's he
now.
gonna get away from this? And then they had the fact that it like just when you see this for the first time, it's just like I the whole idea that Arnold just kind of like is like around shopping all day Christmas Eve looking for this doll as a basic premise is just kind of a it's a humorous and a good first like it's a good just I don't know, an idea for a movie, you know what I mean, like just
Mhm.
looking through the stores all day just rushing for just one toy,
Yeah.
and not be able to get it anywhere, and the fact that he never makes it home all day of Christmas
Yeah.
Eve.
Yeah, that's pretty much the bulk of the movie is him on the hunt for the toy. Yeah, and his little rivalry with Sinbad. Um,
Yeah, he
leading
like
into
he wakes up like the next morning and he's like, honey, I gotta drop at the office and get the thing. And she
You're going
kind
to
of like,
work on Christmas Eve?
yeah, this is like the last time like they talk for like so like the rest of the movie. She's like,
Yeah.
Howard, it's Christmas Eve. The way she looks at him, like that wife thing that they say, like, yeah, it's Christmas Eve. He's like, I gotta get it, and then he just goes to he goes to one store after another. After
Yeah.
that, he hooks up with Sinbad at the store, and um, then we meet Chris Parnell there, and
Mhm.
he's finding out it's like impossible to get a Turbo Man doll.
Yeah. And throughout all this time too, where there's these calls back home to his wife and child to find out that Phil Hartman is working his
Yeah,
magic.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah.
So we got to start from the beginning with Phil Hartman. So we first see Phil Hartman at the basketball. I mean, not the basketball
The
game, the
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 karate.
karate, and all these I don't know, moms with or without husbands, it's not said, are just
Mhm.
like ogling Phil Hartman's like, Phil, thanks for the work you did on my window, or like,
Yeah.
thanks for that handiwork you did for me. Here's some cookies, and he's like,
Mhm.
well, thank you, Karen. And he kind of just looks over. He kind of looks over at Rita Wilson, just kind of awkwardly. He's like, ha ha.
And
And
he's
he's and
also
he's
like, then he's getting the women who are like, "Ooh, I have a light fixture that needs like fixing in my home. I would love for you to
yeah,
step over."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then how does he get to their how does he barge in on their house on Christmas Eve? Is it
Oh,
just because his son is playing with Jamie?
yeah. I think his son is there, and then he comes over, and Rita Wilson is like stressed out about
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Arnold
know.
not being there, and
Yeah. And she's making cookies, and says like,
I'll take
he's,
care of
he's like, you need a good rest. Like,
it.
go take a shower. I'll finish up.
Yeah.
And
He's
he
like,
like
put him in the oven at 350
Yeah,
degrees for 12
yeah.
minutes. You
He
got it.
knows exactly how how like the cookies are made and blah blah. And she's like, "You're the best." And he's like, "No problem." And he kind of like takes off her apron by like wrapping his arms around her. It's
Oh,
really fucking creepy.
by sexually assaulting her. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I don't know if you remember when we watched Kingpin for an episode one time, and there's like a scene where like Bill Murray basically just walks up and touches a woman's breast before he
Oh,
like
yeah.
bowls. Yeah,
Yeah, similar sexual assaulty vibes here.
yeah, exactly. Sexual assault played for humor in a
Yes.
in a '90s movie.
Yeah, that's happens a lot in the 80s and 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so that's basically what's going on the whole time
Yeah.
while
And then
Arnold is
he
out.
like he answers the phone from Arnold eventually, and he's like, these cookies are so good, and then Arnold's like, who told you you could eat my cookie?
Yeah, yeah.
And then he eventually ends up yelling. He's like, put the cookie down
Put the
now.
cookie down. Yeah.
Which for me, like, that's a classic line since I
Oh,
first saw it when I was a kid.
for
Like when
sure.
I saw that as a kid, I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great Arnold lines in here, that could only be iconic, because of
Mm-hmm.
him. But yeah, that's one of
Totally.
them. Yeah, and well, I guess eventually, I don't know how in depth you want to go throughout Arnold's journey, but yeah, it eventually leads him to the wait. Are they in a mall when they meet Jim Belushi as Santa?
Um, I don't entirely
I don't
remember.
even. Yeah.
I just remember kind of after the scene where he gets in trouble for trying to take the ball away from the kid. I think he might meet Belushi shortly after that, and then he takes
Mhm.
him to the socialist Santa um, factory.
Yeah. It's this underground Santa operation that Jim Belushi is a part of. Wheaton's own Jim Belushi. And yeah, this it just keeps getting weirder when we get to this scene where there turns into a
Yeah,
huge fight between Arnold and these Santas. And
yeah. It's just
yeah,
weird subject matter for a family movie. Like it was a
yeah.
thing for sure. Like I get it now that it's like like how it's an anti the system thing that they're doing, and how it's like how it's legally wrong and all that stuff. But as a
Hmm.
kid, I didn't get what that scene was supposed to be.
No. Oh,
You
me
know,
neither. Yeah.
a lot of kids are watching this movie.
Yeah. And and Jim Belushi just looks rough. Terrible, yeah, and well, all these Santas do, but yeah, he goes there trying to strike a deal with these guys to get one of these Turbo Mans,
Yeah,
and yeah, it just turns into a big fight. I can't even remember how
yeah.
this
He like beats
ends.
up a ton of Santas.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, I thought it was pretty cool. I
Yeah.
remember. And then he poses as a detective. He's like, "This is the
Ah, yes.
craziest thing I've ever seen in the Force. You go get in there," and he gets
Yeah.
away. I,
Yes.
this is one of those movies where like it's one of the only movies probably where Arnold is not a respectable character
Yeah.
throughout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not noble. He doesn't make good decisions. He's stupid. Like at one point he gets a reindeer drunk. He punches a reindeer in the
Holy shit.
face.
Yeah.
He just does very unlikable things, and it's weird for a children's movie.
Wow, yeah, I completely forgot about the reindeer scene. Or yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I feel bad for the reindeer then. It's like, yeah, this is a
Yeah,
family.
I
Just
I couldn't believe it. For any movie, I'm like it would just came out of nowhere. I was like, why is he punching? Why did he punch that reindeer in the
yeah, he just
face?
clocks Rudolph out
I
of
mean,
nowhere.
I guess it has something to do with like Phil Hartman, it being Phil Hartman's reindeer, I
Yeah,
guess, but still, like that reindeer's not trying to fuck your wife,
yeah, just
you know?
yeah. If you're gonna punch anyone, why wouldn't you punch Phil Hartman? Yeah, it's
Yeah, exactly. The fact that I think this movie, yeah, it also suffers from the fact that him and like this movie suffers from so many things, but like a real like a real like critique is like for this movie is that it'd be good for a showdown between Phil Hartman and Arnold
yeah,
at some point, and we never get that.
yeah. That's a good point. He is really yeah, the whole time basically the villain to what's supposed to well, along with Sinbad, you could say.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and nothing really comes about it except him running away in the end. But yeah, um, I guess
So before we get to the we just missed one thing, and then we could like move back to their cul-de-sac
Oh
and
yeah.
like the reindeer thing. There's just like that one scene where um, I mean, it's like a long scene where they're sitting in the diner and then they hear on the radio that they're selling the dolls online.
Yeah, I wanted to get to the
Not
radio
online,
scene.
not
Yeah.
online, on the radio.
Yeah.
A different era. And so they run to the radio and are the radio station, and Arnold's saying the reindeer names in his head because that's what you got to do to win the prize. He's like, Dasher, Donner, Dancer, Blitzen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. I obviously don't know him. I said them the same names multiple times.
You wouldn't win the contest. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not. I'd be fucked. Just like Sinbad, I guess. And then we get to the radio station, and Arnold's like, "I got it, right." And then he's like, "Guys, it's just a gift card." And
Yeah.
both the fathers just look insane.
You'll get it eventually.
Yeah. I said that you'll get it eventually. And then Sinbad whips out supposedly a bomb, which I
Sinbad
thought was
becomes a terrorist.
yeah, he becomes
like
a
that.
terrorist. Yeah, which
All
I
of a
thought I thought that was funny since I was a kid.
Yeah, and his whole thing is that he didn't. It's a makeshift, homemade bomb, but he didn't make it. He's a mailman,
Do
and
you not read the news? There's things going through the mail every day.
I kept one just in case I needed it. Yeah, he
I
kept
kept
this
one
bomb just in case.
Yeah. And then like 5 minutes later, the police come, and then
Yeah.
Sinbad whips out another bomb.
And he doesn't get arrested. Yeah.
Back up!
Yeah.
And then they
For those times, just in case you need to become a domestic terrorist, it's always good to have a bomb around if you ever need to become one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they leave, and it ends up being a bomb, actually. And like he wasn't I think he was just he was just kind of being smart in a way. He was bluffing, but then it's like a funny gag where it's like, oh shit, that was actually a bomb.
Yeah. And then and it's when the bomb goes off, it's that is very comical and not like okay, we basically are on planet Earth for this. We are in a cartoon because
no cops get hurt, I don't think.
It's just
one
that
of those bombs that like smoke goes in your face.
Yeah, it's like that 90s, movie trope where it's just his hair is like sticking up, his face is all from the smoke.
And it's the same cop like that Arnold he's encountered like multiple times. He like knocks over his bike and like before that, and then he surrounds Arnold like with all the other policemen.
Yeah. Yeah,
and we see him a couple more times later.
All these recurring characters from from Minneapolis,
on the streets of whatever Minneapolis it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good setting for this movie. Randomly, yeah.
I did not remember that it was in the Twin Cities, but apparently a lot of scenes are in. Apparently, like some of the mall scenes are at the Mall of America.
That's cool. Yeah, why not? Some people, this is off topic, but like some people actually travel to go to like a mall, like that's really fucking ridiculous.
No, mall, it's a huge Midwestern thing. My aunt used to live pretty close to it when I was younger, so I remember that's the only time I went. But it's I don't know how popular it is nowadays, but it seems so ridiculous that it's like all these stores you can go to at home. This is just a bigger
and isn't there
building.
Like a roller coaster in there?
There's an amusement park. I think it's like Nickelodeon themed. It used to be Charlie Brown themed.
Splash Park.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, or Slime Park.
It's slime something. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But you can also see in the background of some of these scenes is the skywalks in Minneapolis, which I will say is an underrated part of the Twin Cities, is because it gets so cold in the winters that a lot of the city is connected via skywalk.
What is skywalk?
So, well, I'm glad that you asked, Luke. But my college also had these too. But yeah, it's like all these buildings across the city are connected through
Oh,
skywalk. So they're just these hallways suspended above the road.
across like like a lot of streets. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
So the whole point is that if say
It's off to the side.
you're going from like one from this restaurant to like this store across a few blocks, you don't have to walk outside to go there. You can go through the skywalk.
Really interesting.
So
Wow, I did not.
yeah, there's a little Minneapolis tidbits tidbits for you there.
So, is the scene where he steals the ball from the girl, is that in the Mall of America? Do you know?
I feel like that's got to be. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I was actually looking up just because I've been to the Twin Cities quite a few times, but I was looking up sort of where they filmed everything, just in general, not scene by scene. But I think the only scenes that weren't in Minneapolis was the parade scene, which um was filmed in L.A. on
A
a
studio
set.
lot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that must have been in the Mall of America.
Yeah, I didn't know this was Minneapolis because I don't know what Minneapolis looks like, and um, yeah, I was just kind of wondering when I was watching what city is this, and I
Yeah.
guess I must have known that sometime during all my years with this movie, but maybe I never have.
They really only mention it maybe once or twice. Other than that, it's just like implied. They don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not a character in the story. Yeah.
but now that I know, I think it is a good like setting for this,
hmm
like for sure.
Usually these like family Christmas movies from back in the 80s and 90s are in Chicago. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a little
exactly.
different. Yeah.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, changing it up. Yeah. But yeah, I guess where were we with the movie? I don't.
So I think the next thing I wanted to get to was the caroling scene, because I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
really funny
Yeah.
when Phil Hartman's like, "Liv," is that her name? Liv.
I think it's Liz.
Liz,
Yeah,
Liz.
Liz.
He's like, Liz, carolers, come on. And then they like she looks so happy when she sees the carolers, and so does he. And but he's like just looking at her while they're staring at the carolers, and they both are like they're both like are like swaying to like, now give me some figgy pudding, now give me some.
Yeah.
And then he like he tries putting his arm around her, and she just shoves it away. It's just
God,
like
yeah.
fucking hilarious. So it's so cringy but hilarious at
hmm
the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if someone besides Phil Hartman were in this role, if it would be nearly as funny or just be plain creepy. But
Yeah,
yeah, he makes it funny. He
he pulls it off.
fully commits. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a chance he was probably excited for this role.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a great scene. And I'm totally lost where we're at.
So Arnold's while they're like swaying to the carolers, they're actually like the carolers are actually like singing to Phil Hartman's house.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
while they're singing to his house, Arnold is like in there looking to
Yeah.
steal
Yeah.
his kid's Turbo
The
Man
Turbo
doll
Man doll. Yeah.
because he's like he sees him like earlier he sees him like putting the star on the tree,
hmm
and like he's putting my star on my tree,
On my
and
tree.
then he like you turn away, and then inside the house Liz goes like, "What are you doing? That's how," and he's like, "Your star wasn't up." It's like, that's Howard's job. He always puts the star up, and he's like,
Oh.
and then he goes like, "Too bad he's not with his family on Christmas Eve."
Yeah.
And so,
He's a
and then
cartoon.
Arnold's still very mad,
hmm
and then he like remembers something that uh that was said earlier. He's like, I got it's like a little voiceover of Phil Hartman. He's like, I got Tommy a Turbo Man doll earlier. It's nestled safely under our tree. And it goes like, nestled safely under our tree. And so then that's how Arnold ends up in the house to steal the Turbo Man doll.
Yes.
From a kid. And as he's walking out, he goes like, I'm stealing from a kid? I can't do this.
Yes, the one moment where there's some redeeming quality in him, but he's still fucked up. Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you're already in there. You took it out.
You shouldn't have even gotten to that point.
Yeah, and then that's how he ends up punching the reindeer in the face, and then he gets him drunk after that.
Yeah. Yeah, just totally clocking the reindeer. I genuinely felt bad about this scene. This didn't make me feel good at all that he's stealing from this kid and then he just punches this animal.
Yeah, and then the reindeer's clearly gonna be sick after he gets put in the face.
Or dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think then he goes home and then he has like the first conversation with his wife since like the third scene in the movie. Yeah. They've talked like maybe twice. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you don't understand all these things. And then she's like, I don't want to, Howard, I've been hearing your excuses for years. I'm just not having it anymore. And then she's like, says to Phil Hartman, will you drive us to the parade? And he's like, of course. And then they all leave and go to the parade.
That is such a weird development to happen there. Yeah,
I have to remember this. Phil Hartman's character, his name's Ted. Ted, will you drive us to the parade?
Yeah, there's even that scene, like one of the 2 or 3 times when Arnold calls home and it's Ted that answers, and he's like, hello? And he's like, like, Liz, you gotta listen to me. And he's like, wait, Ted? Yeah. Yeah. But so anyway,
Ted's a fitting name for this guy.
Yeah, and then they end up driving to the parade together while Arnold then gets wrapped up into the parade. Yeah.
And I'll say this before he even gets wrapped into the parade itself is bonkers. Mm-hmm. Like it is like before any of the actual crazy stuff happens, even just when Jake Lloyd and Ted's kid are just watching all the normal things. I thought it was like absolutely creepy, this Christmas Day parade. And I thought it played a lot into like the just like the fact that we say that you could analyze this movie as like being a critique of consumerism and the commercialization of Christmas. Because like that even like the music, it's just like da 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 da, like the horns. It's like just so mindless and like it's ridiculous.
It's very over the top. Yeah. And
not really like happy or like well played musically or anything like that. It genuinely feels like it's brainwashing music.
It at this point almost seems like they're in some sort of like futuristic utopian society where like Metropolis almost, where they're all just these like brainwashed people.
Especially Rita Wilson. We'll get to that in a sec, but she at least has her moment where I guess kind of where she stands up to Ted.
When they're in the car, she does push him away.
She kind of goes like, he's like, Liz, I'm a very eligible bachelor.
Yeah. He starts to get a little too predatory.
Oh yeah. And it's like, she just says no and then walks out, and like that's really it. That's the
Yeah.
end of Ted. He gets eggnog spilled on him.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's basically the last time we see him until towards the very end. But um
Yeah, so then Arnold gets wrapped up into the parade somehow, I forget.
he like his
Doesn't he run away from the cop
he's
because
running
he
away from the
spills
cop,
coffee on the cop?
and then he's
Which
in this like building which is so dark, but it's because it's
Mhm.
like backstage kind of.
Yeah,
And they're
exactly.
like, "Oh, great, you're here. You're Turbo Man." And
It's like
yeah.
they say like you're the guy. It's the guy, and then
Yeah.
they have like 5 people ready to just put the suit on him, and the guy kind of goes like, "I'm sure you read the instructions, well, all the instructions. So if you haven't, well, here's the changes. Like the jetpack works like this, blah 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 blah." And then it's like, "All right, have a great show," and then
Yeah.
he's just like, "Yeah, he's in the show."
It's one
And
thing to have a parade, with all of these like superhero characters, but they legitimately give uh the superhero isn't an actual existing person, but they give him all of his actual like tools and gadgets that he has in his
oh
suit
yeah,
when
like
this is
oh
just a parade.
yeah, well, yeah, and as we see later, he has I don't know, like a jetpack or rocket boost or whatever that like that where he can fly all wherever he
Yeah.
wants. Like it's like military level, like
Yeah.
Iron Man level.
Yeah, he's like Iron Man. Yeah, and
It's
they
incredibly powerful. It's not like just one of those like jetpack hovering things that will make you just float around, like in a parade for like a scene, like that. Like I feel like that's
yeah,
something I've seen somewhere, like where they're like, oh, he can look, there's that guy, he can
he
fly,
can
he's like
fly.
20 feet in the air. No, this is like a jetpack where he can fly like hundreds of miles an hour if he wants.
Yes. Yeah, this is something they haven't even they're like testing in the military, and it's like secret and they haven't released to the public yet.
They
But they
try it
have it
out
in
in
this
the
parade.
parade. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he sees that one character who's supposed to be like Turbo Man's sidekick, and it's like the actor, and he's like, "Where the hell have you been?" He's like, "I know you, you're Booster."
Yeah. Yo, Booster, yeah. And then who's the pink guy?
That's Booster.
Dementor? Oh, that's Booster. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
confusing the names.
Dementor may be the villain.
Dementor's the green guy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And so then like the Turbo Man like soundtrack kicks in, and like like and we really get the feeling like, all right, this parade has just been elevated to a whole new level. Like it is the main event of the parade, and we
yeah.
start seeing like I really want to find the song.
The Turbo Man song.
Yeah, I'm looking up the Jingle All the Way score. Jingle All the Way soundtrack. This might be a hard one to find.
Who knows? But while the parade already wasn't bonkers enough, this
Yeah.
happens. And yeah, this was Carly's first time watching this movie, and I couldn't even prepare her for what was about to happen. If you think the movie up to this point is just totally ridiculous,
Yeah.
climax at the parade.
Which you definitely do.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear this song if you can find it.
I'm looking at oh my god, Turbo Man theme by David Newman.
No.
Yeah, I mean like I feel like if you're seeing this movie for the first time and this scene hits, like my sister was watching it for the first time when we watched it, like I feel like you tune out. You're like, what the hell am I even watching?
Yeah,
You
what
know what I
how did
mean?
we get here? What happened? Yeah.
Just got a little ad before we play this masterpiece. We just need to set the mood for this parade.
Yeah, because it is quite the spectacle.
Yeah.
Yes. Turbo Man. Yeah.
And so then Arnold's he kind of like rises up through the stage.
Yeah.
Right during this moment.
So dramatic, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, he starts waving to everyone. He's like, I could get used to this.
Yeah, and everybody's just going crazy. Everybody loves Turbo Man. Yeah. Everybody blindly loves Turbo Man. Yeah.
For some, yeah. And Turbo Man really is such a generic dumb name for like a superhero.
Oh yeah, and all of his quirks are very just general and basic.
Yeah, and
like,
also a big part of this scene is that like Arnold gets a lot of just. It's almost like the movie's trying to be like, oh man, it's all this hardship has built to this for him, but I don't feel like Arnold deserves any of this.
No, he's not a hero. Yeah, it's like this is our hero. Here he is.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
this is his moment.
Yeah.
Like,
and
no,
like
he's still a shitty dad.
It's like he's finally gained recognition. Blah blah blah. Yeah. It's like, no, this idiot's just in the middle of like this accident.
He stumbled into this. Yeah, and yeah, I mean everything ends up going his way in the end, which we'll get to. But yeah, it's not because he's a great guy or learned anything. It's just because so he got lucky.
Yeah. So.
But I think while this is going on, and then we see like from a rooftop or something.
Yeah, like someone gets knocked out basically, and then before the villain is revealed.
Mm-hmm.
And like Arnold still is like barely realizing what's happening to him.
Yeah.
The actual doll, the Turbo Man doll that he's been seeking this entire movie, rises out from the stage, and then Booster just kind of goes like, pick a kid, you're supposed to pick a kid, and every kid's like, me, and like he sees Jamie in the audience, and then he picks out Jamie, and then he's like trying to, and like Phil Hartman's kid's like, no, he's pointing at me, and then they like right as like whoever's doing the audio mixing like turns up his mic, he goes like, Jamie, and then he's like, Jamie's like, he knows my name. And then even like his even Liz is like surprised, like, wow, Turbo Man must be real, is like what Liz looks like at that moment. Like, wow.
Yeah, because she's so dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, she like Liz at this point in the movie falls into complete like deliriousness. Like I don't know where she's at in this parade scene.
Really, women are portrayed and treated terribly in this movie. One gets choked by Sinbad. They all are just stupid and falling head over heels for Phil Hartman's character. Yeah, that's
There's not a lot of women.
Yeah.
Either. And so Jamie runs up to the stage, and he hands his son Arnold hands his son the doll. Jamie has no idea that it's him.
No.
Clearly, he thinks it's the real Turbo Man. And he's like, Merry Christmas, Jamie. And he hands him the doll, and right as that happened, the villain comes out, which is like is a planned thing by the actual production, but it ends up being Sinbad.
Sinbad, yeah.
Sinbad is still going. This is like Sinbad's still going after the doll. He
somehow snuck onto this like rooftop, took tinsel and like choked out the actual villain. Got his costume on, and then infiltrated this production of the parade at the exact moment
Yeah.
that was in the
And
scripts.
it's all to get the toy. It's easily the
Yeah.
most like desperate thing someone's done to get the Turbo Man doll in the movie.
Yes. Yeah. Somehow we have gotten to this point where now Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad are fighting off as
Yep.
Turbo Man and Dementor.
Yeah. And then all these I don't know, all these like just goons come out, guys playing goons come out and they just surround Arnold and trap him. Um and Jamie kind of runs away and Sinbad just runs after him. um, Jamie kind of runs up a building while Sinbad's still running after him. And during this whole thing, Rita Wilson's just looking at what's going on, and she just looks like confused because I think she's partly thinking this is part of the show, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
but she should not be thinking that.
No, at this point you know something's up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe then Arnold like tries his jetpack out, but then he ends up flying basically all over Minneapolis,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much.
Yeah. And he
Uh,
starts getting like Jamie starts chirping in with like Turbo Man, use your whatever.
yeah, exactly. She's like, use your on your
Yeah, and then
arm.
he starts pressing these buttons
hmm
or whatever, and these
And
things start flying out
Arnold
of
goes
it.
like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually pretty dangerous for a parade.
Yeah,
Just like all these projectiles flying into the crowd.
yeah. And
Uh,
so and when Arnold's flying around, there's a point where he flies through like multiple people's windows. And then there's a point where he just like straight up flies into a brick wall and bangs his head. I don't know how fast he's going, but that looks whew, just looks like a concussion
yeah,
instantly, an instant concussion.
a good thing he is the world's buffest mattress salesman. Because he was able to handle that.
Yeah. And I think that's it. And then we get to Jamie climbing up on top of that like Christmas tree wired thing with Sinbad following him.
Yeah, he's like
And
hanging on for dear life.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the thing breaks and then they're hanging there. They're just hanging there and Rita Wilson's just like, "Oh my god."
Well, yeah, what a
My
performance.
son. My son. Yeah, well no, I think at this point she's
Yeah,
actually like worried, but she does look stupid cuz she's like she let all this happen.
yeah, right. Yeah, she's just watching everything as it's a yeah, as if it's a performance. But
She's not
uh,
really doing anything.
yeah, and yeah, and that's I mean it's staying true to her character throughout the whole thing, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And then so and while they're hanging there, um, Sinbad is still like reaching for the doll.
hmm
Like I would be way more worried about whether I'm gonna die,
yeah,
but
I'm about to die. Yeah.
he's still like, give me the doll. And, um, and I think that's when he's like, Turbo Man, use your boomerang, and then Arnold throws the boomerang into the air, and then like it hits the doll out of like it hits like Sinbad, so he goes flying with the doll into like a dumpster or something like that. And
Yeah.
then Jamie just falls like, and he's going straight towards the pavement. But then Howard, jetpacks to him and picks him up. And he's like, I knew you'd save me, Turbo Man. He's like, you can always count on me. Which is like such a it's such a corny, ridiculous moment because at the beginning of the movie, they're like, you can never count on Dad. It's like the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just tying it all together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And oh then I guess the cops come and they arrest Sinbad.
Yeah,
Um
they immediately pick him out of the which is just it's strange because like I don't know. I don't even know why.
it
It's
and
just
it's of well, it's of course the same cops too.
Yeah, it's the same
Winthrop,
cops.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah, and they of course arrest, the black guy. They don't the white guy gets off unscathed. Um
well, yeah, like I mean, doesn't like the Turbo Man guy seem a little? Why don't they question him at all?
yeah,
He
they
looks
even thank him.
like obviously he chased Sinbad chased after a kid, which is more
Mhm.
obvious, but Arnold did look very fishy out there.
Yeah. And they even thank him. And
Yeah,
well, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this, but like when he reveals himself and then all he says is, "Oh, sorry, officer, about like everying that I did to
yeah,
you
it's like
this
sorry
entire
about
day."
the bike and the coffee and
Coffee.
the bomb.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Ah, it's all right, whatever. It's Christmas. We'll arrest Sinbad, but not you." Yeah.
Yeah, and then Jamie gives Sinbad the doll. Um, which I actually still to this day, I feel very happy for Sinbad in that moment, even though Sinbad is going to jail.
He's a real troubled guy, He's gone through a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah.
but like when I was a kid and like Sinbad was like, "This is gonna make my son very happy." Like I was like, I still get like kind of choked up about that, even though like now when I realize like it's not gonna mean anything for him and his kid because this guy's going to jail. Like they're probably gonna confiscate the doll and the kid's
Yeah.
never gonna get it.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen to the doll in the end. But then
Yeah.
Jake Lloyd has that great line where he's like, "I don't need the doll when I have Turbo Man with me
He's like,
right
I
now."
got the real Turbo Man at
Yeah, I
home.
got the real Turbo Man at home. Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah,
a weird like compliment to someone's talking about their husband or their
yeah.
wife. Yeah.
So yeah, like before that, he revealed himself to his family,
Hmm.
uh, and then Liz goes like Howard, and then
Yeah.
then she goes like Howard.
Howard, ooh, Turbo
Yeah,
Man. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
It's just, yeah, it takes a comically long time for him to finally reveal himself. Because yeah, there was a part before he did where he was about to say "I'm your," and he's gonna say "I'm your father," and then I think that's when Sinbad comes in. But they not only can't tell just through this like yellow visor that he has that it's him, but he's also the only person around with an Austrian accent. It's so
Yeah,
incredibly thick.
the only person in Minneapolis.
Yeah. It's like, wow, Turbo Man also has an Austrian accent, just like my Austrian American dad, who I live with. Yeah, it's yeah, it takes a ridiculous amount of time for them to figure out that it's him, and it's only when he takes the helmet off that they realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah. But then it's
and
supposed to be this whole, family thing of like, let's
yeah,
build a better family. But
yeah.
do they really learn anything from
But
that?
then he gets carried away, like by the crowd. Like people
Yeah.
pick him up, and they just start. He starts just crowd surfing,
Yeah.
and he just gets all this fame and glory out of nowhere. And then the movie ends on that. And
Yeah.
so that, yeah, so it's just the most bizarre ending.
He's so glorified. When is he really a hero? Yeah, I like how you put it, that everything is pretty much an accident. And yeah, nothing there. I don't know. There's nothing really learned from the characters, but I think it fits with the vibe. It feels very cartoony,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's not really like the movie that I guess they market it as, but maybe that's okay because I still think it's pretty popular nowadays with people watching it sort of as a joke, um, and just for nostalgic reasons too. But yeah, that is Jingle All the Way.
Yep, it's a Christmas classic.
Christmas classic. It's right on par with It's a Wonderful Life. And yeah, that's our deep dive into it. Any last thoughts on Jingle All the Way?
Not really. Only that I had fun talking about it, and I have fun watching it. And I don't know. I feel like it's just one of those things that if you grew up with it, then it'll be your thing probably. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know if it'll any of the fascination with it will necessarily click.
Yeah.
But it is, I think it is a truly unique piece of Hollywood movie for
Yes.
sure.
It's something to be seen. Yeah.
Oh, here's one thing that was noticed by my brother during the end credits. Um, the cinematographer of this movie was also the second AD, which just shows to maybe a small clue into the probably incredible lack of organization that might have been on this set.
Wow. Yeah, strange. I mean, it's not surprising in any way that they would be unorganized and
Because
also ridiculous behind the scenes.
if you know anything about what those jobs are, I don't see any way that one person could do both. I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
Well, they proved it with this movie here. It can be done. It can
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, on that note, I guess we'll close out Jingle All the Way. But uh, I personally am going to try and make it a yearly watch,
Oh yeah.
and I definitely enjoyed it. So I hope if you're watching it for the first time this holiday season, you enjoy it, and if you're rewatching it, that you enjoyed just as much as you did in as a child when you watched it for the first time. Yeah,
Oh, and also I own this. I know you're trying to end it there, but I have
I don't
one
care.
more
Yeah,
thing to say. I own it on Blu-ray.
Blu-ray. My God, wow.
Do
I
you
thought you were
own
gonna
it?
say VHS. No, I think we may have had a VHS back in the day, but I've
Like you've seen how like small my movie collection is. One of those movies is Jingle All the
wow.
Way.
Now that is saying something. Yeah,
Yep,
wow. It's in
that
good.
is saying something.
It's in good company. Yeah, I'm glad we mentioned your Criterion buys last week,
Yeah,
because
yeah, fits
I
perfectly in there.
it's so great to know that this movie is lumped in with those in your movie collection.